Alright, so make this difference very clear. Growth is quantitative, whereas development is qualitative term. Development is qualitative term, right? So here development is measured, right, by different ways. Say for example, it measures the quality of life, of individuals. So today we have different ways of measuring the development. There are different ways of measuring the development, right? So very popular method that is used by UN, particularly its agency, that is UNDP, United Nations Development Program. UNDP is involved in measurement of development, right? So if you take growth, we have World Bank, we have IMF, domestically we have RBI, right? We have Ministry of Economic Affairs, that is Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Finance. So we have different institutions which are involved in measurement of economic growth, where economic growth is measured. So if you take all these reports, right, you take World Bank, you take IMF, you take RBI, you take Ministry of Finance, you take any other international or domestic agency, they measure economic growth in terms of GDP. They measure economic growth in terms of GDP, right? So that is what we see. Whereas UNDP measures the development of the nation. So very popular method or very popular methodology or parameter that is used to measure development is HDI. So we all know this, Human Development Index. So it is a popular index which measures development of the individual. So Human Development Report, HDR, is given by UNDP. UNDP annually presents this Human Development Report, right? But prior to this Human Development Report, right, development is measured in terms of Physical Quality of Life Index, PQLI. Physical Quality Life Index, which was first used to measure the development, right? Measurement of development, where this was advocated by John Morris in 1980, where 3 indicators are used for measurement of development. So PQLI uses 3 indicators. These 3 indicators. So development is measured in terms of, one is life expectancy at 1, infant mortality, and literacy rates, right? So this was the first measure. PQLI was the first measure that was used in 1980s to measure development. So here life expectancy, right? So where the upper limit of life expectancy was fixed at 77 and the lower limit was assigned to 28. So life expectancy between 28 to 77, 1 to 100, right? Whereas infant mortality, the upper limit was set at 9 per 1000, whereas lower limit was set at 229 per 1000. 229 per every 1000 births. infant mortality. So 1 to 100. Simply, a country where the infant mortality rate is at 220 or less than 220, that is, I'm sorry, it is more than 220, it is given a score of 1, that is, and if it is 9, it is 100. Similarly, life expectancy. If life expectancy rate is 77, then the country would be given 100, right? The country would be assigned 100. If it is 28, it is given as 1. That is the lower life expectancy rate. Similarly is literacy level. Literacy rates are measured from 1 to 100%. 1% to 100%. So this is how the average, right? So based upon the scores achieved by the nations are measured. The development of the nations are measured. So development of the nations are measured based upon the scores a nation achieves on these parameters, on these indicators. That is what PQLI is. Later, this PQLI, Physical Quality Life Index, was replaced by Human Development Index, right, which was advocated by a group of scholars led by Mehboob Haq. Right, and the first HDI report was published in 1990. So it was a group of scholars led by Mehboob Haq who advocated this Human Development Index or human development as a measure of development. Alright, so even the HDI is not much different from PQLI. Human Development Index also used 3 indicators, that is longevity, knowledge and decent standard of living. Human Development Index consists of 3 parameters. One is longevity, second one is knowledge, third one is decent standard of living. So longevity is measured in terms of life expectancy, at birth. Knowledge is measured by combination of adult rate as well as combined gross enrollment ratio, whereas decent standard of living is measured in terms of GDP, per capita GDP, that is purchasing power of the individual. So longevity is measured in terms of life expectancy at birth. Knowledge is measured in terms of literacy, adult literacy and gross enrollment ratio at primary, secondary and tertiary levels. Adult literacy plus gross enrollment ratio at primary, secondary and tertiary level, that is higher education level, right? Decent standard of living is measured in terms of per capita GDP, that is the amount of money that an individual can spend, right, to meet the basic needs of the individual. All right. So how much money a person can spend to meet the basic needs? Simply I'll make it simple. Expenditure made by the individual to avail basic needs, to enjoy, to meet basic needs, food, clothing, shelter, different things. Correct, different types of goods which are treated as basic needs. So this per capita spending is measured in terms of US dollars. It is measured in terms of US dollars, right? So these are the 3 parameters. These are 3 indicators which are used by UNDP to measure human development. Human development is measured on these lines. So this was started from 1990, and from 1990 onwards, right, the UNDP started publishing this human development report, right? And countries are classified as developed, developing and underdeveloped countries based upon these human development indicators, right? So to this HDI, over a time, other indicators were added. Say for example, in 1995, gender development index was introduced and added to HDI. Again, gender empowerment measure was also introduced in the same year of 1995, right? Later in 1987, human poverty index was introduced in human development report, right? So over a time, there were changes made by adding certain new things, by adding new things to the HDI. These are gender development index, which was added in 1995, gender empowerment measure again in 1995. So gender development index measures same longevity, knowledge and decent standard of living of women. So it is all the three parameters: longevity of women, knowledge, that is literacy rates of women, decent standard of living of women, decent standard of living of women. So all these three parameters are separately calculated for women. Similarly, gender empowerment of women. So, right, so GEM measures gender inequalities in economic and political opportunities. So it primarily measures gender inequalities. Gender inequalities in economic and political opportunities, right? So these were the changes brought into the HDI in a time. And in 1997, human poverty index was introduced, all right, where the purpose of this human poverty index is to measure human deprivations, right? So it measures deprivations. I'll make simple things, right? Human development index measures development on different dimensions, that is achievements in basic dimensions of human development. HDI achievements. HDI measures achievements in basic dimensions. Basic dimensions of human development, whereas it measures deprivations on the same dimensions. Right? So HPI, it measures deprivations on the same dimensions. So ultimately, the purpose of this HPI is to measure human poverty, right? Human poverty, right? To measure the development, right? So this human poverty index, again, this human poverty index in 2010 not sorry, it is in 2011. It is in 2011. It was replaced by multi-dimensional poverty index. It was replaced by multi-dimensional poverty index. Right. So where multi-dimensional poverty index, right, compares different countries, right, on 10 basic indicators, on 10 basic indicators, right. These are, so first this multi-dimensional poverty index was first developed by Oxford University, right, and it was adopted by UNDP from 2011. So it was first in 2010. Oxford University, Oxford University has developed, right, uh, multi-dimensional poverty index, where it is called as Oxford Poverty and Human Development Initiative, right. So this MDPI, multi-dimensional poverty index, was first developed by Oxford University, right, along with UNDP, along with UNDP, right. So this multi-dimensional poverty index uses 10 parameters, 10 parameters for measuring the poverty, for measurement of poverty. So these parameters, they are broadly classified within the three major indicators called as health, education and standard of living. The all 10 parameters, all 10 parameters are broadly classified within three major parameters called as health, education and standard of living. Education and standard of living, right. So you can read all these 10 parameters in any of the economy textbook, or you can go through the net, where you can get these 10 parameters. So let me provide these 10 parameters even. So if you take these 10 parameters within health, within health, it includes child mortality and child mortality and nutrition. In education, it uses two indicators: years of schooling and school attendance. Years of schooling and school attendance. In standard of living, in standard of living, it uses cooking fuel, sanitation, drinking water, electricity, housing, and assets. So these are the parameters which are used within the standard of living. So 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So these are 10 parameters which are used in measurement of development, measurement of poverty. So deprivations, poverty is measured in terms of deprivations on these three broad indicators. On these three broad indicators. So today UNDP measures poverty, right, on these 10 indicators. So development is measured in terms of achievement of basic dimensions. At the same time, development can also be measured in terms of deprivations, right? So in 2001, right, UNDP has introduced another indicator, that is technology achievement index. Technology achievement index, so which was started from 2001, where the purpose of this technology achievement index is to capture how well a nation uses its technology. So it measures diffusion of technology. Diffusion of technology, diffusion of technology and usage of technology. Usage of technology, right? So these are what, this is what about different indicators which are used to measure development, right? So today development is measured in terms of technology usage, in terms of poverty, in terms of, right, standard of living, literacy rates, health, etc., right? So these are different ways of measuring growth and development. Am I clear to you? These are different ways of measuring growth and development, right? So this is what about the topic of growth and development, which is a first part of it, which is the first chapter of your UPSC syllabus. Let us move towards planning, goals of planning, right? And we'll have a glance of all the 5-year plans as well as the recent programs. Am I clear to you for this topic of growth and development? Let us move towards next topic, that is planning, right? So if you take role of economic planning, so first, what is planning? So planning is a systematic utilization of available resources at a progressive rate so as to secure an increase in output, national dividend, employment and social welfare of the people, right? So planning can be defined as systematic utilization of available resources. Systematic utilization of available resources, right, at a progressive rate. Using of available resources at a progressive rate, right, in order to secure, in order to increase output, in order to increase the output, national dividend, employment and social welfare. employment and social welfare of the people. That is what planning is. So planning is about how better we use our existing resources at a progressive rate, right? In order to achieve the goal of welfare, in order to increase the output, in order to increase the national dividend and provide employment to the citizens, right? So it is the effective utilization of the potential resources available to the community, right? So it is another way is planning is nothing but potential utilization, effective utilization of potential resources, effective utilization of potential resources, potential resources, right? It can also be seen as economic planning can also be seen as external direction or regulation of economic activity by the planning authority. So it also involves planning also involves directing the economic development, where in the process of directing the economic development there will be a regulation imposed, a limitations imposed on the on the way of using the resources. So planning refers to planning also refers to economic development, right, by external guide, by through external guiding, regulation, and control of the economic activity, where the purpose of this control of economic activity is to promote national interest in the name of national interest, or in the name of welfare. So regulating the economic activity, directing the economic activity, controlling the economic activity externally for the purpose of achieving the national goals. So planning always sets a goals. Planning involves setting up of the long-term goals and objectives, right, which are consistent with the aspirations of people, right? So these goals and objectives are consistent with the aspirations of the people, society and the constitution, right? That is what planning is, right? So planning also involves not only planning the goals but also strategies, the means, the instruments of achieving such goals. Planning also involves determination of planning determines the strategy to achieve the goals, the machinery that is required to achieve the goals, the stages through which this achievement should proceed, stages of achieving the goals, So all these are planned. So that is what planning is. So if you take in India, planning is not new, or planning system is not sudden outcome of independence. Even before independence, we had this planning system, right? So for the first time, this planning process, this planning system emerged in 1938, right? Where 1930s, in 1938 particularly, right? When a national planning committee was set up under the chairmanship of Jawaharlal Nehru. Right? The idea behind setting up of this national planning committee, the idea behind setting up of national planning committee of 1938, right? It is the inspiration provided by Mokshakonda Visvesvaraya, right, who was an engineer in profession, who for the first time gave a blueprint for development of India, right, as a part of 10-year program, right. So Mokshakonda Visvesvaraya, for the first time in 1934, provided a blueprint in the form of 10-year development program. In the form of 10-year development program, right? So these were the roots of planning system in India. So setting up of National Planning Committee under the chairmanship of Jawaharlal Nehru. Right, later in 1944, Bombay Plan was prepared. Bombay Plan in 1944, which was prepared by the industrialists. The industrialists of Bombay, where it envisaged a 15-year plan for doubling per capita income and trebling the national income during this period, right? So this this Bombay plan was, right, was meant to double per capita income and triple the national income. So it has set a 15-year plan for doubling per capita income and tripling national income. So this was the Bombay plan. This was Bombay plan, right? Following the lines of Bombay plan, right? In 19 in the same year, in the almost in the same year, right? People plan was prepared. People plan was prepared by M.N. Roy. Right? Who envisaged, M.N. Roy has envisaged a 10-year plan. A 10-year plan, right? Who called for nationalization of all agriculture production and distribution, besides development of consumer goods industries by the states, right? So here the stress was on nationalization of agriculture production. Nationalization of agriculture production, right, including development of consumer goods industries, including development of consumer goods industries by the states, right? So this is what people plan given by M.N. Roy, right? So So he was a popular labor union leader, right? A communist and a social by thought, right? So it was M.N. Roy's plan, people plan, was based on Marxian ideology. It was based upon Marxian ideology, right? So there was another plan called as Gandhian plan, which was prepared in 1944 by Narayan Agarwal. Narayan Agarwal. The name itself says it is purely based upon Gandhian ideology. Right? So it was a modest plan aimed at developing a decentralized, self-sufficient, village-based society. Right? So it aims at development of a decentralized, self-sufficient, village-based society. Village-based society, right? So here it is nothing but promoting Gram Swaraj. Gandhian plan is about promoting Gram Swaraj. Similarly, Sarvodaya plan. Sarvodaya plan, which was designed by Jayaprakash Narayan. Which was designed by Jayaprakash Narayan based upon Gandhian philosophy. Based upon Gandhian philosophy, right? Where Sarvodaya plan lays emphasis on agriculture and agro-based industries and on the small and cottage industries. Sarvodaya plan, it emphasizes on the development of agriculture and agro-based industries, development of small and cottage industries, development of small scale industries. It aims at self-reliance and freedom from foreign aid and technology. Self-reliance, self-sufficiency, freedom from foreign aid and technology. Freedom from foreign aid and technology, right? So these are the aims of Sarvodaya plan, right? And after independence, so you take all these were different plan initiatives taken before independence. You take Sarvodaya plan, Gandhian plan, Bombay plan, People's plan, right? So all these are pre-independent initiatives. These are pre-independent initiatives. And after independence, right? So the economic program committee was constituted under the chairmanship of Jawaharlal Nehru, right? To to design economic plan development of the nation. So it is the purpose of this EPC is to promote planned economic development of the nation. All right. So it is From this thought of EBC, the concept of mixed economy has come out. Economic Program Committee of 1947 under chairmanship of Nehru. Right? So it is from this process we see emergence of mixed economy. We see the emergence of mixed economy. Right? So where our forefathers, they promoted economic development by abolishing concentration of wealth as well as private monopoly on the economic development. So the purpose of this mixed economy is to promote economic development. By abolishing private monopoly and concentration of wealth by the private sector, concentration of wealth within the private sector. Right? So this is how Indian planning system and Indian planning process has emerged. Right? So this is how Indian planning process has emerged. Right? And we see establishment of specific institutions for the planned economic development. Specific institutions were created, right, to achieve this planned development. They are creation of planning commission under chairmanship of Jawaharlal Nehru, establishment of National Development Council. Now, right, both these were replaced by Niti Aayog. Niti Aayog has replaced both Planning Commission as well as National Development Council. Right? So this is what the things have changed. So Planning Commission, let me give a brief picture of Planning Commission as well as NDC. Then we'll go and talk more about Niti Aayog. You take this Planning Commission structurally, it consisted Prime Minister as the ex officio chairman of the commission. It also consisted a deputy chairman. That who is appointed by Prime Minister for a term of 5 years. Right? For a term of 5 years. And here, this Planning Commission, initially it consisted of Minister of Planning, Minister of Agriculture, Minister of Finance, right? So, as a part of the Planning Commission. But now, after 1967, right, appointment of ministers to this Planning Commission has been abolished. So, from 1950 to 1967, there were ministers appointed to the Planning Commission as members. So, Minister of Finance, Planning, Agriculture, these were appointed as members of ex officio members. Of Planning Commission. But now this has been discarded because first ARC, First Administrative Reforms Commission. First ARC has recommended to discontinue the appointment of ministers as members of Planning Commission. Even First ARC also recommended to discontinue the practice of appointing Prime Minister as the ex officio chairman of Planning Commission. But this recommendation on Prime Minister is not accepted, and still it was Prime Minister who acts as the head of the Planning Commission till 2015, right? So the tenure of this Planning Commission was fixed at 5 years, where the purpose of the Planning Commission is to prepare 5-year plans, determine the machinery for implementing the 5-year plans, right? Evaluation of the plans prepared, plans implemented by the Planning Commission. So identifying all that factors that affect the plan development of the nation. So it was the major responsibility of the Planning Commission. So Planning Commission was targeted to draft the 5-year plans, right, and determine the factors that affect the plan development of the nation, as well as the factors that affect the implementation of 5-year plans. So 5-year Planning Commission was also tasked to determine the machinery that is required to implement the 5-year plans. So these were the functions of Planning Commission, right? So, and similarly coming to NDC, National Development Council. National Development Council, right? It was created in 1952. Right, to review the plans, review the draft 5-year plan, prepared by Planning Commission, right, and determine the overall plan, determining the overall 5-year plan. Determine the overall 5-year plan. So if you take this NDC consists of Prime Minister as the ex officio chairman. It consisted of all the union cabinet ministers. It consisted of CMs of all the states, including the UTs of Delhi and Puducherry, right, including the UTs of Delhi and Puducherry, and it also consisted of administrators from the UTs, right? So this was the composition of NDC. The purpose of NDC is to review the plans prepared by Planning Commission, reviewing of draft plans prepared by Planning Commission, right? So that is what the duty of NDC, and it is after review by the NDC the 5-year plans are accepted and they are finalized as 5-year plans. So NDC normally acted as the supervising body over Planning Commission. So there are many criticisms against Planning Commission as well as NDC, but here in our economy class we are least bothered about these aspects of NDC and Planning Commission. We are concerned only their role with respect to plan development. So later, now both Planning Commission and NDC were superseded by Niti Aayog in 2015. In 2015, Planning Commission and NDC are replaced by Niti Aayog. Not only Niti Aayog has replaced these two institutions, but also took up all the functions which are performed by Planning Commission and National Development Council. So if you take this Niti Aayog, if you take the composition of Niti Aayog, National Institution for Transforming India. So this Niti Aayog has replaced the existing planning commission as well as National Development Council and emerged as a policy think tank of Government of India. So it established itself as a policy think tank, right? It aims to achieve sustainable development goals through promotion of cooperative federalism. It aims to achieve sustainable development goals through promotion of cooperative federalism. This specialty of Niti Aayog is it has replaced top down approach of planning. Top down approach of planning by bottom up approach. It is what decentralized planning. That is centralization in planning process. Centralization in planning process was replaced by a cooperative federalism. So it is a kind of a decentralized initiative. It is a kind of decentralized initiative, right? So earlier planning commission, NDC, they were involved in 5-year plans, but Niti Aayog, right, started coming up with very long-term policies, with very long-term plans. That is a 15-year plan, a 15-year roadmap with 7-year vision, strategy and action plan. With 7-year vision, strategy and action plan. So this is what the newness brought by Niti Aayog, right? So if you take this composition of Niti Aayog consists of the Prime Minister as the chairperson, right? It consists of CMs of all the states, Lieutenant Governors of UTs, right? And it consists of 4 full-time members and 2 part-time members. If you take the composition of Niti Aayog, composition of Niti Aayog, it consists of Prime Minister as chairman, it consists of all the chief ministers, it consists of Lieutenant Governors of UTs, it consists of a CEO, right, who is a rank of secretary to the Government of India, right? It consists of 4 full-time members, 4 full-time members and 2 part-time members. So this is what the composition of Niti Aayog. So Niti Aayog now it spearheaded the planned development of the nation. So now Niti Aayog took up the role of planned development, planned socio-economic development of the nation. So these are the institutions that are involved in planned development. Right? So am I clear to you? Am I clear to you?